You have been praying for what you have the right to assume. Stop asking, start assuming. The world begins to obey. Now hear me. This is not encouragement. This is mechanics. There is a law that runs underneath your life. It does not care what you wish for. It does not respond to your tears. It does not move when you beg, when you complain, when you negotiate, when you bargain. It moves for one reason and one reason only. It moves when you assume. That is the law of assumption, and it has been working in your life every single day of your life. The only question is whether it has been working for you or quietly working against you. I want you to settle in. Sit a little straighter. Slow your breathing. What you are about to hear is the single deepest law of the inner life. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Most of the world is praying. A small fraction of the world is assuming. And the difference between those two groups is not effort. It is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is one inner movement so small that most people miss it entirely. I am going to give it to you tonight. Plainly. Slowly, with nothing held back. Here is the principle in a single sentence. An assumption is a feeling of the wish fulfilled, sustained until it hardens into fact. Read that sentence in your mind one more time. A feeling of the wish fulfilled, sustained until it hardens into fact. That is everything. That is the whole law. Every other teaching you will ever hear about manifestation, about prayer, about creation, about miracles, about destiny, every one of them is a footnote to that single sentence. Now let me show you why ordinary prayer does not work, and let me show you what to do instead. When most people pray, they pray from lack. They pray because they do not have. They pray because they are afraid. They pray because the bills are due, because the relationship is failing, because the doctor's report came back wrong, because the bank balance does not match the month. And in their prayer, the unspoken assumption underneath every word is the same. I do not have it. I cannot reach it. I am separate from it. So they pray, and the deeper self listens to the prayer. But the deeper self does not answer the words. The deeper self answers the assumption. And the assumption underneath the words was, I do not have. So the deeper self obeys and produces another day of not having. And the man wakes up tomorrow and prays again with the same assumption and gets the same result and calls it unanswered prayer. It was answered. It was answered exactly. The problem is, he was praying one thing and assuming another, and the law obeys the assumption, never the prayer. This is why the most religious people you know often look the most defeated. They are praying with all the right words and all the wrong assumptions. The words ascend, the assumption manifests. The two pull against each other until the man's life looks like a tug of war he cannot win. He calls it a test of faith. It was never a test of faith. It was a clash between his lips and his depth always win. So what is the way out? The way out is not to pray harder. The way out is not to find better words. The way out is to change the assumption. Stop asking, start assuming, stop pleading, start declaring, stop hoping, start being. That is the door. And tonight, in this room, you are walking through it. Listen to me carefully. In the next 85 minutes, I am going to hand you the single inner movement that converts wish into fact. And once you have it, you will never again confuse hoping with creating. You will never again sit in a chair and beg the universe for what was always going to obey you the moment you stood up and assumed it. I am going to give you 8 teachings. The I Am Doctrine, the Inner Conversation, the Imagined End, the Tense Shift, the Night Meditation, the Persistence Law, the Sealed Assumption, and the Test of Fulfillment. By the time we are finished, you will have a complete 24-hour template. A morning anchor, a midday review, a nightly seal, a way to live this law, not just hear it, and you will leave this hour as a different operator inside your own mind. But before you can use it, you have to see what it actually is. Let me put the stakes plainly. Every day you spend pleading for a life you do not yet inwardly own is another day the deeper self obeys the wrong instruction. The deeper self is not lazy. The deeper self is not cruel. The deeper self is the most obedient force you have ever encountered. It does not argue. It does not delay. It does not negotiate. It executes. Whatever you assume, it executes. So if you have been assuming you are alone, it has been arranging your life around your aloneness. If you have been assuming you are broke, it has been arranging your life around your brokenness. If you have been assuming you are passed over, unseen, unloved, late, behind, defeated, tired, stuck, it has been arranging the world to match. That is not a curse. That is precision. That is law. And law is neutral. Law does not judge. Law obeys. You have not been failing. You have been succeeding at the wrong instruction. The wrong assumption has been manifesting with surgical accuracy for years. And the only reason your life looks the way it does is that the deeper self has been doing exactly what you told it to do. That is why I told you this is mechanics, not encouragement. Encouragement is for people who do not know the law. Mechanics is for people who finally do. And once you do, you stop sitting there hoping life will hand you what it cannot hand you. You walk over to the inner control panel and you change the program. That is what we are going to do tonight. Let me say it again because I want this to land in the marrow. The deeper self is not punishing you. The deeper self has been loving you precisely. It has been giving you the world your assumption asked for. The cruelty is not in the deeper self. The cruelty is in the assumption you did not know you were holding. And the moment you change the assumption, the cruelty ends. The same loyal self that produced the suffering will produce the wholeness, with the same loyalty, with the same precision, with the same quiet obedience. The instrument has not changed, only the instruction. That should hit you with two feelings at once: grief and hope. Grief, because you have been giving the wrong instruction for so long. Hope, because the moment you change the instruction, everything changes. The deeper self does not hold a grudge. The deeper self does not punish you for years of misuse. The deeper self begins the moment you give it a new line, to obey the new line. That is grace in the mechanical sense, not the religious sense, the mechanical sense. Forgiveness is built into the law. There is no penalty for years of wrong assumption. The penalty is paid in the years themselves. The moment you assume rightly, the law is on your side again. The years did not earn you damnation. The next assumption earns you the next reality. That is mercy. That is the deepest mercy in the universe. Now I want you to picture something with me. Picture your subconscious mind as a private server room. Cold, quiet, hum of equipment, lines of code running in the dark. Every thought you have ever held about yourself is in that room as a running process. Every assumption, every I am tired, every I am behind, every I am unlucky, every I am unwanted is a process running in the background, drawing power, executing instructions, producing output. The output is your life. You did not consciously install most of those processes. You inherited them. Your mother's worry, your father's defeat, the teacher who told you what you were not, the first heartbreak that taught you what to expect, the childhood verdict you decided about yourself when you were small and could not yet defend yourself. All of that is running right now in the server room, and whatever runs in that room is what manifests. Without comment, without delay, without mercy. This is why two men with the same talent end up in completely different lives. One has clean processes running, one has corrupted ones. The talent does not matter. The skill does not matter. The connections do not matter. The server room matters. Whatever is running there is what shows up out here, and the law of assumption is the master key to that server room. It is the only command that overwrites a process. It is the only instruction the deeper self treats as final. It is the way you, the operator, walk into the cold, quiet room and rewrite a single line. You will learn how to do that tonight, step by step, tag by tag, sentence by sentence. By the time we finish, you will know exactly what to type into the server, exactly when, exactly how to seal it, exactly how to walk away and let it run. But first, I want to leave you with a story, a small story. I will not finish it here. I will finish it at the end of the hour, and when I do, you will understand why I told it. There was a man on a bench. He was not old, not young. He was in the middle of his life, in the middle of his trouble, in the middle of a long afternoon that had no answer in it. He had prayed for years. He had pleaded. He had bargained. He had wept. None of it had moved. That afternoon on the bench, he stopped praying. He sat very still, and he said 2 words. He said them slowly. He said, "I am," and then he stopped. He did not finish the sentence. He sat there in silence for a long time. He did not know yet what to put after those 2 words, because he understood for the first time in his life that whatever he put after those 2 words would become his life, and he did not want to choose wrong again. We will come back to him. We will come back to what he finally said. But for now, I want you to hold those 2 words, I am. Hold them in your mouth. Feel their weight. Feel the silence that comes after them. Feel how every sentence you have ever appended to those 2 words has shaped the man or woman you became, because that is where the law lives. Right there, in the silence after I am. That silence is the most powerful place in your life. That silence is where you choose. That silence is where the server is waiting for input. And tonight, before this hour ends, you are going to learn what to put there. And you are going to learn how to mean it. And you are going to learn how to hold it. And you are going to walk out of here as a different operator. But before that, we have to look at the first teaching. We have to look at what is actually running in your server room right now. We have to find the assumption you have been carrying since childhood, the one running in the background, the one you have never named, because you cannot replace what you have not yet seen. So take a breath, settle in. We are going deeper now. Now we go to the first teaching, the teaching that names the assumption you have been carrying without knowing you carried it. You have a sentence. You have been saying it about yourself for so long that you no longer hear it. It was installed in childhood. It was reinforced in adolescence. It was confirmed in adulthood by every event your assumption arranged. And it is the silent assumption underneath every failure of your life. I am going to help you find it. And before this hour ends, you are going to retire it forever. But not yet. First, we have to lay the ground. First, we have to understand the doctrine that makes the retirement possible. That doctrine is the I am doctrine, and it is the most important sentence in the entire human language. Listen carefully. Every word you append to I am becomes an instruction to creation. Every single one, without exception, without delay, without your permission. When you say I am tired, the deeper self does not interpret. It does not consult the calendar. It does not check whether you got 8 hours of sleep. It hears the instruction, and it produces tiredness, not metaphorical tiredness. Real, bone-deep, cellular biochemical tiredness. Because the deeper self runs the body, and the deeper self obeys the instruction. When you say, I am unlucky, the deeper self begins to filter the world. It starts dismissing opportunities you would have noticed. It starts walking you past doors that are open. It starts directing your eye to the closed ones, and then you confirm it. You say, see, I told you, I am unlucky. You were right. You were always going to be right. Because the moment you said it, the law obeyed. This is why the great teachers of every tradition told you to be careful with those 2 words. Be careful with what you append to them. Because those 2 words are the operator's command line. Those two words are the line that gets executed. Whatever follows them, the deeper self treats as truth. So before we go any further, I want you to do something. I want you to listen, really listen, to the sentences you say to yourself most often. The little sentences, the throwaway ones, the ones you say so casually you forget they are sentences at all. I am exhausted. I am broke. I am behind. I am too late. I am not enough. I am not the kind of person who, I am stuck. I am scattered. I am bad with money. I am bad with people. I am terrible at relationships. I am unlovable. I am invisible. I am too much. I am not enough. Every one of those is an instruction. Every one of those is a line of code in your server room. Every one of those is producing the life it describes. You did not write most of them. They were given to you. They were spoken over you when you were 5, 8, 12, 16. Some of them were said by people who loved you. Some of them were said by people who didn't. Some of them were not said out loud at all. They were the silent verdict your environment delivered, and you absorbed it without knowing. But here is the thing. It does not matter who installed the sentence. The deeper self does not check authorship. It only checks whether the sentence is currently running, and if it is running, it is producing, right now, as you sit here. So we are going to find your sentence. There is a single sentence you have been saying about yourself since childhood. By the end of this hour, by the time we get to the fourth teaching of the night, you are going to retire it. You are going to walk it down to the basement of your inner house, and you are going to set it down, and you are going to walk away, and it will not follow you. But first, you have to find it. Take a moment, right now, and ask yourself, what is the sentence I keep saying about myself? Not the sentence I say out loud. The sentence I say in the silence. The sentence I say after the meeting goes badly. The sentence I say when the call doesn't come. The sentence I say when I look in the mirror at the end of a long day. What is that sentence? You may not know yet. That is fine. We will find it together. For now, hold the question. Carry it with you through the rest of the hour. As I teach, the sentence will rise to the surface. The deeper self knows what it has been running. And once you give it permission to show you, it will show you. Now I want to widen the lens, because the I am doctrine is not just a personal psychology trick. It is the deepest law of being. The Father within, the infinite intelligence that is the source of all that is, speaks through those two words in every human being. When you say I am, you are not just describing yourself. You are using the same syntax the Creator uses. That is why those two words have such weight. That is why the saints and mystics treated them as sacred. That is why the great traditions tell you to slow down when you speak them. Because in those two words, you are joining the speech of creation itself, and whatever you put after them, you are creating. This is not metaphor. This is mechanics. The same law that lit the stars is the law that runs your moods. Smaller scale, same law. So when you say, I am sick, you are creating sickness in your body with the same authority that creates galaxies. Diminished by your unbelief, slowed by your distraction, but creating nonetheless. And when you say, I am whole, you are creating wholeness with the same authority, diminished only by how much of yourself you actually mean it with. The law of assumption is what makes the I am doctrine practical. Because an assumption is just an I am sentence you have stopped questioning. You no longer wonder whether it is true. You feel it is true. You walk through the day as if it is true. And that feeling, that quiet, settled, unargued feeling, is what the deeper self executes. So now you see the architecture. You speak I am. You append a word. The word becomes a feeling. The feeling becomes an assumption. The assumption hardens into fact. And the fact is the world you wake up in tomorrow. That is the chain, from the operator's command line all the way out to the world. And every link in that chain is yours. Every link is something you can change. The question is, and this is the question that has stopped most seekers cold, How do you change a link you have been forging since you were 5? That is what the rest of this hour answers. Now I want to tell you a small story, a real one, about a widow. I will give you the bones of it now, and we will return to her later, because she is the human face of one of the laws we have not yet named. There was a widow, older, quiet. She had a small house with a dining room she had not used in years because using it reminded her of who used to sit across from her at the table. The wood was gouged, the finish was lifting, the chairs were scratched. The whole room felt like the funeral of a marriage. One winter she decided to refinish it, the whole room, by herself. She did not have money for someone else to do it. She started on a Tuesday. By Friday, the room looked worse than when she started. By the end of the second week, her back hurt and her hands were raw and the room still looked like a war zone. By day 20, she was crying at the table over a stripped surface that would not take stain. By day 35, friends were telling her to give up. By day 42, she almost did. But she did not. Because she had assumed when she started that the room would be beautiful again. And she held that assumption. The feeling of sitting in the finished room, eating again at the table, having someone over for dinner. She held that feeling for 47 days. On the 47th day, the last coat went on, and the room was beautiful, not just refinished, restored, glowing. Hold that woman in your mind. We will return to her. Because she is the persistence law. She is what it looks like to assume against 46 days of evidence. Most people fold on day 3. The reason has nothing to do with strength. It has to do with the assumption being too thin, too new, too unrooted. The assumption was a wish, not a feeling, and wishes do not survive the 3rd day. A real assumption, a feeling of the wish fulfilled, can survive 47 days of resistance, can survive 47 months. The widow's dining room is a small example of an enormous principle. We will use her again later. For now, just hold her. So now we have laid the foundation. We have seen the law. We have seen the I am doctrine. We have seen that you have a sentence to find. And we have seen in the widow that the law rewards holding. The next teaching shows you what to hold, the exact inner movement, the technique, the drill you will do tonight before you sleep and every night of your life from now on. Because everything we have said so far is theory, beautiful theory, true theory. But theory does not move the world, practice does. The man on the bench, the widow at the dining table, they were not theorists, they were practitioners. They moved an inner thing and outer thing followed. You are about to learn what they moved. Exactly, step by step, settle in, slow down. We are crossing into the technique now. The 3rd teaching is the inner conversation. Listen carefully. This is the one most people miss. You think prayer is the moment you fold your hands. You think prayer is the time you set aside in the morning, or the words you whisper at night, or the few sentences you offer when the trouble is too heavy to carry alone. That is not prayer. That is the announcement of prayer. The actual prayer is the 24-hour conversation you are having with yourself. Every thought is a sentence. Every sentence is a vote. Every vote is counted. The deeper self is not waiting for the formal moment. The deeper self is taking attendance every second of every day. And whatever sentence you are saying to yourself most often is what gets executed. So if you fold your hands at night and say, I am abundant, but you spend the rest of the day saying, I cannot afford that, I cannot afford that, I cannot afford that, the deeper self does not split the vote evenly. It does not say, well, 8 hours of one and 16 of the other, let me find a middle ground. The deeper self counts the dominant sentence, and the dominant sentence wins. Most of the world is praying one thing on the surface and assuming the opposite underneath. And then they are confused why their lives do not change. They are not confused because the law is broken. They are confused because they have not yet noticed which sentence is dominant. So your work is not to add a new prayer. Your work is to change the inner conversation, the whole conversation. The one running while you commute, the one running while you stand at the sink, the one running while you scroll through your phone, the one running while you fall asleep, while you dream, while you wake. That conversation is your real prayer, and it is being answered. Constantly, without pause. Now hear me. You cannot fight that conversation. You cannot suppress it. You cannot scold it into changing. The mind does not respond to scolding. The mind responds to replacement. You replace a sentence by inserting a different sentence and feeling it more. Not arguing with the old one, just inserting and feeling until the new one becomes louder than the old, and then louder still. Until one day you notice the old one has gone quiet. Not because you killed it, because you starved it of attention. The mind only feeds what you stare at. So begin staring at the new sentence. Live there, walk there, eat there, drive there, fall asleep there. That is the inner conversation. That is the actual prayer. And once you change it, the world has no choice but to follow. Now I want to give you a specific tool for changing it. Because saying change the inner conversation is too vague to act on. Here is the practical instruction. Pick a 30-minute window in your day. The commute is good. The walk after dinner is good. The shower is good. Any window where you are alone, where the body is moving, where the mind is free. In that 30-minute window, you have a single conversation. Not with another person. With yourself. About yourself. As if you have already become the person on the other side of the wish. You ask yourself the questions a person on the other side would ask. How does it feel to wake up in this house? How does it feel to be loved like this? How does it feel to walk into work and have the work be mine? How does it feel to look in the mirror and see this body? You answer the questions inwardly, in the present tense, as the one who already has the answer. You let the conversation be specific, not a chant, a conversation, with pauses, with wonder, with small details rising up that you did not expect. You let yourself be the person on the other side for 30 minutes every day. The deeper self is listening. The deeper self is recording. The deeper self is taking attendance, and that 30-minute window is a vote that counts 5 times what the rest of the day's chatter counts. Do this every day for 30 days. By the end of 30 days, the inner conversation of the rest of your day will have shifted to match. You will not have to force it. The new sentence will have rooted. The mind will have replaced the old conversation with the new, all on its own, because you fed it deliberately for 30 days. That is how the inner conversation changes. Not by force, by feeding. Now I want to give you the 4th teaching, the imagined end. Most people, when they want something, picture the wanting. They picture themselves wanting it, reaching for it, trying to get it, working toward it, hoping for it. They live in the picture of the desire being unfulfilled. That is the wrong picture. That picture is an instruction to keep wanting. The deeper self obeys and produces another day of wanting. The right picture is the imagined end, the moment after the desire is fulfilled, not the road, the arrival, not the chase, the catch. If you want a relationship, do not picture meeting someone. Picture the morning, 6 months in, when you wake up and feel them breathing beside you and you do not have to wonder anymore. If you want a home, do not picture house hunting. Picture the night you turn the key in the door of the house that is yours. Walk in, set the keys on the counter you already know, and stand in the kitchen feeling the quiet of belonging there. If you want a body, do not picture working out. Picture the morning you put on the clothes that fit and look in the mirror, and the picture matches the feeling you have carried for months. The end, not the means. The end. The deeper self knows how to organize the means. That is its job. Your job is to install the end. Vivid, sensory, felt, complete. Make the picture small and intimate, not grand and abstract. The smell of the coffee in the new kitchen, the weight of the ring on the finger, the sound of the name being said by the voice that was missing, the specific lamp on the specific table, the particular afternoon light through the particular window. Specific, concrete, sensory. Because the deeper self does not respond to abstractions. It responds to the felt particulars. The more particular, the more powerful. A vague desire produces a vague life. A specific imagined end produces a specific manifested life. This is why people who say, "I just want to be happy," stay vaguely unhappy. The instruction is too vague. The deeper self has nothing to lock onto. But I am the man who walks into the office at the company on the 3rd floor of the building on Maple, and I am received by name, and the work is mine. That has hooks. That has surfaces. That gives the deeper self something to organize toward. Now the 5th teaching, the tense shift. You must stop praying in the future tense. You must stop praying in the conditional tense. You must stop praying in the wishful tense. The future tense places the desire in tomorrow, and tomorrow is always tomorrow, and you spend your whole life one day away from your own life. Stop saying I will be. Start saying I am. Stop saying I want to. Start saying I have. Stop saying someday. Start saying it is done. Listen to me. This is not positive thinking. This is precision instruction. The deeper self is reading your tense. Whatever tense you assume the desire in is the tense it manifests in. Future tense assumptions produce future tense results. There is always a tomorrow. There is never a today. Because today, in your assumption, the thing was still future. So shift the tense. Now, tonight, from this hour forward, when the wish rises in you, let your inner sentence land in the present. I am the man who already has it. I am the woman who already lives it. It is done. Not it will be. Not it might be. Not it is being arranged. It is done. That is the language of the law of assumption. That is the operator's grammar. Past tense in the inner conversation produces present tense reality outside. Walk through your day in that grammar. Drink your coffee in that grammar. Drive in that grammar. Speak to people in that grammar. Not out loud, inwardly, quietly, privately, where only the deeper self can hear. It hears. It always hears. It is hearing right now. This is why people say, speak it into existence. They are right, but they are imprecise. You do not speak it into existence by shouting at the sky. You speak it into existence by quietly, privately, inwardly, in the present tense, day after day, until your inner conversation has become the conversation of the man or woman on the other side of the wish. Then existence has no choice. Existence is the echo of the inner conversation. Make the inner conversation match the life you want, and the life you want is already on its way, and so we come to the 6th teaching, the night meditation. This is the most concentrated practice in the whole law. The single most powerful 60 seconds of your day. The last 60 seconds before you fall asleep are the writing window. They are the moment the deeper self is most receptive, most porous, most willing to receive a new instruction. The conscious mind is letting go. The critical filter is offline. Whatever sentence and feeling you carry into sleep is what writes to the server room overnight. Do not waste those 60 seconds. Most people waste them. They scroll, they worry, they replay the day, they fall asleep with a head full of what went wrong. And the deeper self, dutiful and obedient, takes that material and runs it through the night and produces tomorrow's matching circumstances. Tonight, you stop wasting them. Here is the drill. Read it once, then again, then practice it tonight, exactly as I describe. You lie down, you let the body settle. You let the breath slow. You release the day. You do not try to fall asleep. You do not try to do anything. you simply settle. Then, in the soft minute before sleep, you choose a single sentence. 1. Not 3. Not 7. 1. Your assumption sentence, the one you have decided to become. Maybe it is, I am the man at peace in his own house. Maybe it is, I am the woman who is loved and known. Maybe it is, I am the one who walks into the room and the work is already mine. Maybe it is, I am whole. I am healed. I am home. Whatever it is yours, and it is one sentence. You let that sentence sit on your inner lips. You do not chant it. You do not repeat it like a mantra. You feel it. You let the feeling of already being it spread through your body, through your shoulders, through your chest, through your hands, through the soles of your feet. The feeling of already having it. The feeling of already being the person on the other side of the wish. You stay there. You let the feeling deepen. You let the room around you, in your imagination, match the sentence. The window, the light, the other person if there is one, the work if there is work, the body if it is the body. Whatever the sentence implies, you let yourself be there, in feeling, in the dim minute before sleep. And then you let yourself fall asleep into that feeling. You do not let go of it as you drift. You do not check whether you are doing it right. You simply ride that feeling down into sleep. That is the writing window. That is the 60 seconds when the new line is written to the server. Every night, without fail, without exception. You do this tonight. You do this tomorrow. You do this every night for the rest of your life. And in time, the new line takes over the old line, and the world rearranges to match. Now hear me carefully. This is not visualization for the sake of visualization. This is not relaxation for the sake of relaxation. This is targeted writing to a specific server with a specific instruction for a specific outcome. Treat it like surgery, not like daydreaming. The night meditation is the surgery, the surgeon is you. The patient is your assumption. The scalpel is the felt sentence in the dim minute. And the operating room is the silence of your own bedroom every single night, without exception, without ceremony, without anyone else needing to know. You will not feel a result the first night. You may not feel one the third or the 10th. The widow did not see the dining room transform on day 6. She saw it on day 47. But every night the work was done. Every coat of finish written to the wood. Every coat of feeling written to the server. You are doing the same thing, coat by coat, night by night. The world will catch up. Tonight you will do the drill. Tomorrow we go deeper. Now we cross into the second half of the law. The 4 teachings that protect the assumption once it is made. Because installing the assumption is only the first half. Holding it is the second. And the second is where most people fall. The 7th teaching is the persistence law. Listen carefully. This is the law that buries the wishers and rewards the practitioners. When you set a new assumption, the world does not rearrange overnight. The world has momentum. The world has inertia. The world is currently shaped to match the old assumption you have been running for years. To change shape, the world has to break its old habit and form a new one. That takes time. Not because the law is slow, because the world is heavy. So between the moment you install the new assumption and the moment the world catches up, there is a gap. A long, quiet, sometimes terrifying gap. In that gap, nothing seems to be happening. The bills look the same, the phone does not ring, the mirror does not change, the relationship is still cold, the body is still tired, the bank account is still small. In that gap, almost everyone folds. They look at the appearances and say, "See, it is not working." They look at the calendar and say, "I have been doing this for 2 weeks and nothing has changed." They look at the silence and say, "The law is a lie." And in the moment they say that, they revoke the assumption. They reinstate the old one. They go back to wanting. And the world, dutiful and obedient, gives them another month of want. The persistence law says this: you hold the assumption like a man holds his name. You do not argue with appearances. You do not negotiate with the gap. You do not let the world's slowness become your evidence. You stay in the new assumption. You walk in it. You sleep in it. You eat in it. You speak only out of it. And you do this until the world slowly, helplessly has to bend to match. The widow held for 47 days. 46 of them looked like failure. Day 47 was the truth. But day 47 was only possible because of all 46. So when you ask, how long do I hold the assumption? The answer is, until it manifests. Not a day less, not a question less. You hold. You hold like a man in a doorway holds the door for the people behind him. You do not let go because the wind is strong. You hold because that is the job. And the job has a beautiful secret in it. The longer you hold without flinching, the faster the world catches up. The flinching is what slows it. The flinching sends a contradicting instruction. The deeper self pauses to ask which sentence to obey. And the pause is what creates the gap. Stop flinching. The gap shortens. Now hear me. The persistence law is not white-knuckled effort. It is not gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to believe. That is exhausting and it does not work. The persistence is not in the effort. It is in the feeling. You hold the feeling of already having it. You do not hold the idea of it. The idea is brittle. The feeling is alive. If the feeling fades, refresh the feeling. Go back to the imagined end. Sit in it for a minute. Smell the kitchen. Hear the name. Feel the ring. Refresh. Then walk back into your day with the feeling restored. That is persistence, not effort. Refeeling. The eighth teaching is the sealed assumption. Speak it to no one until it is fact. Most people, the moment they have a new assumption, run to the nearest person and tell them. They tell their spouse. They tell their friend. They tell the group chat. They post about it. They want witnesses to the new self. Do not do that. The new assumption is delicate. It is a flame just lit. It is a seed just planted. It is a vow just made. It needs darkness. It needs silence. It needs to root. When you tell another person about a new assumption you have made, you do something dangerous. You introduce another mind into the operation. That mind will react. It may believe you. It may doubt you. It may laugh. It may pity you. It may worry for you. It may quietly wish for you to fail so they do not have to face their own assumption. Whatever they do, they introduce energy into your assumption that is not yours. And the deeper self, sensitive as it is, reads that energy. It reads their doubt. It reads their worry. It reads their pity. And it begins to factor those into the manifestation. So seal it. Tell no one. Not your closest friend. Not your spouse. Not your therapist. Not your priest. Not yet. When the world manifests it, the world will tell them. They will see. And then you will not have to tell them anything. They will tell you. Until then, you keep the assumption in the inner room. You speak it only inwardly, only to the deeper self, only in the night meditation, only in the silent inner conversation. The seal is the protection. The ninth, the test of fulfillment. When the world begins to mirror your new assumption, do not be surprised. Do not act shocked. Do not call it luck. Do not call it coincidence. Do not stand there with your mouth open as if the world has done something strange. Be reverent. Be steady. Receive it as if you always knew this was coming. Because the moment you act surprised, you reveal that the assumption was thinner than you thought. The deeper self records the surprise. And next time, it will produce a smaller dose because it now knows your assumption was tentative. But when the world delivers and you nod calmly and you receive it as the natural arrival of what you always inwardly held, the deeper self records that. And next time, it produces faster and bigger and cleaner because it knows your assumption is real. This is the test of fulfillment. Receive without surprise. Walk into it like you walked into the kitchen this morning. Of course there is coffee. Of course there is bread. Of course the relationship is mine. Of course the work is mine. Of course the body is whole. Of course the home is here. Of course. That word, of course, is the language of a settled assumption. Practice it. Not arrogantly, reverently, like a man who has been told his life will be answered and who is no longer surprised when the answers begin to arrive. And now we come to the 10th teaching and the most personal of the night. The retirement of the sentence. I told you an hour ago that you have a sentence you have been saying about yourself since childhood, the silent assumption beneath every failure. I asked you to begin listening for it. I asked you to carry the question into the rest of the hour and to let the deeper self show you what it has been running. By now, you have begun to hear it. You may have heard it 3 times in the last hour. You may have heard it 10. You may have heard it as a single word, small, broken, ugly, familiar, or as a whole sentence repeated under your breath for 30 years, or as a verdict spoken over you at age 6 by someone who has been dead 4 years and who is still, somehow, the loudest voice in your head. Whatever the sentence is, I want you to bring it forward now. Hold it in your awareness. Do not be afraid of it. Do not be ashamed of it. It has been running for a long time. It has been doing exactly what you told it to do. It has been a faithful program. It has produced the life it described. It is not your enemy. It is your servant. And servants follow instructions. You are about to issue a new instruction. Say to that sentence, in the inner room, out loud or silent, however you choose, these words: I see you. Thank you for the work. You may go now. Then say the new sentence, the one that retires the old one, the new I am. Whatever your assumption is, place it where the old one was. I am loved. I am whole. I am at peace. I am the man who is met. I am the woman who is held. I am the one who is enough. I am. Feel the new one. Feel the weight of it. Feel the breath that comes when an old sentence finally leaves you and a new one finally arrives. That breath is real. That breath is the deeper self exhaling, because the old contradiction is gone. You will need to do this many times. The old sentence will come back. It will rise in moments of stress. It will rise in moments of failure. It will rise in moments of fatigue. Every time it rises, you say the same thing. I see you. Thank you for the work. You may go now. And then you replace it, until one day it does not rise anymore, because there is nothing left to rise into. The space it used to occupy is now full of the new sentence. That is the retirement. Now hear what I am about to say, because this is the biggest reveal of the night. You have been answered for years. You were just answering the wrong prayer. Every disappointment of your life is the deeper self obeying an instruction you did not know you were giving. Every door that closed was the door your assumption asked to close. Every person who left was the leaving your assumption invited. Every loss was the loss your assumption ordered. The deeper self has been answering with surgical precision all along, which means the deeper self is loyal, which means the law is real, which means the answers are coming. Which means the only thing that has ever stood between you and the life you wanted is the sentence you forgot you were saying. And tonight, you stopped saying it. Sit with that. Take it in. You have not been forsaken. You have not been ignored. You have not been singled out for hardship. You have been answered in every detail by a deeper self that loves you so completely it would not deny you the privilege of authoring your own life. It is your life. It always was. The only question was which sentence you would put after the 2 words. Tonight, you put a different sentence. The widow on day 47 walked into her dining room and sat at the table she had refinished with her own hands and looked at the glow on the wood and did not cry. She was reverent. She did not say it worked. She said, of course. The room had been already restored, in feeling, on day 1. The 46 days were just the world catching up. You are entering your own day 1 tonight. And so we come to the threshold. Step across. You are at the threshold now. The teachings are in you. The law is in you. The technique is in you. The retirement of the old sentence has already begun. What remains is the walk. So I want to give you a template, not a theory, a template. Something you can use tomorrow morning and the morning after and every morning of the rest of your life. A 24-hour template for living the law of assumption. 3 anchors, morning, midday, night. 3 short practices. 3 places to plant the assumption deep enough that the world cannot uproot it. Listen carefully. Write none of this down. Let it land in you and the deeper self will remember. The morning anchor. When you wake, before you reach for the phone, before you check the time, before you get out of bed, before you speak to another person, before you do anything at all, you spend 60 seconds with your assumption. Lie still. Eyes closed if you can. Breath slow. And speak the new sentence inwardly. I am the man at peace in his own house. I am the woman who is loved and known. I am the one who walks into the room and the work is mine. Whatever your sentence is, you speak it inwardly, slowly, with feeling. And you let the feeling spread before your feet touch the floor. That 60 seconds is the morning anchor. It is the difference between starting your day inside the new assumption and starting it inside whatever the dreams or the news or the email already loaded into your nervous system. The world starts grabbing at you the moment you open your eyes. The morning anchor reaches you first, before the world, before the noise, before the day begins to demand things of you. 60 seconds, every morning, no exceptions, even on the bad days, especially on the bad days. The bad days are when the morning anchor matters most, because the bad days are when the old sentence will try to rise. The morning anchor is your hand on the door, holding it closed against the old self. The midday review, around the middle of the day, at lunch, between meetings, before you eat, however you mark it. Pause for 30 seconds, just 30. Ask yourself one question. What sentence have I been saying about myself this morning? Not what events happened. What did you say about yourself in your inner conversation since you woke up? Listen for it. Be honest. The deeper self is honest if you give it permission to be. If the morning carried you, you will hear the new sentence. Good. You are on track. Smile inwardly. Acknowledge the deeper self. Say thank you. Walk on. If the morning slipped you back into the old sentence, and there will be many days when this happens, you do not scold yourself. You do not collapse into shame. You do not grieve. You simply note it, the way a sailor notes that the wind has shifted, and then you adjust. You return to the new sentence. You feel it for 30 seconds. And you walk back into your afternoon under the new sail. The midday review is the course correction. It is not punishment. It is navigation. The journey is long. The sentence will slip. The review brings you back. Without it, you will end the day having drifted hours back into the old assumption without realizing it. With it, you correct in minutes, 30 seconds, every midday. The cost is nothing. The reward is the entire arc of your life. The night seal. This is the most powerful of the 3. The one I gave you in the 3rd hour. The night meditation. The 60 seconds before sleep when the deeper self is most receptive, and the new sentence becomes the line of code written to the server overnight. Lie down. Settle the body. Slow the breath. Choose the one sentence. Feel it. Let the feeling spread through the body. Let the imagined end fill the room, the kitchen, the light, the body, the voice, the other person if there is one, the work. Whatever the sentence implies, feel yourself already there, feel yourself already living it, and then ride that feeling down into sleep. That is the night seal. every night, for the rest of your life, even on the nights you do not feel like it. Especially on those nights, because the deeper self does not care whether you feel like it. The deeper self cares whether the sentence was felt. So you feel it, even briefly, even faintly. The widow held a feeling for 47 nights. You can hold one for 60 seconds. So that is the template, morning anchor. Midday review, night seal, 3 minutes total, across 24 hours, 3 minutes that change the running program of your subconscious. 3 minutes that rewrite your life, line by line, night by night. And in between those 3 minutes, you live, you work, you drive, you eat, you speak, you scroll, you sleep, you wake, you do everything you would otherwise have done. The law does not require you to abandon your life. It requires you to inhabit it differently, as the man on the other side of the wish, as the woman who already has it, as the one for whom it is done. Walk that way, drive that way, order your coffee that way, speak to your spouse that way, send the email that way, open the door that way, from the new assumption, always from the new assumption, until the world cannot help but match. Now, hear me. 2 warnings before we close. The first warning: do not check on it. Do not lift the seed up out of the soil every morning to see if it has grown. The seed grows in darkness. The assumption grows in darkness. If you keep digging it up to inspect it, you kill the roots, you disrupt the work. You signal to the deeper self that you do not believe the work is happening. So plant, and walk away, and trust, and come back next season for the harvest. Not next morning to inspect the soil. The second warning: do not bargain with the gap. The gap is real. The world is heavy. There will be days, and there will be weeks, and sometimes there will be months where nothing visible has changed. In those weeks, the temptation to revoke the assumption is enormous. The temptation to say this is not working is enormous. The temptation to flip back to the old sentence because at least the old sentence felt familiar, that temptation is the loudest temptation of the inner life. Do not bargain. Do not negotiate. Do not flinch. Hold. Hold. Hold the assumption. Walk through the gap as if it were already over, because in the deeper self, it is already over. The world is just the deeper self made visible on a delay. The delay does not change the outcome. The delay only tests whether you will stay. And now I want to come back to the man on the bench. I told you we would. He sat there for a long time that afternoon. He had said only 2 words, I am, and he could not bring himself to finish the sentence. Because he knew suddenly in his bones that whatever he put after those 2 words would become his life. And he had spent the previous 20 years putting the wrong things after them, without knowing, without choosing, carrying the verdicts of his childhood, carrying the disappointments of his adulthood, carrying every voice that had ever spoken into him, all stitched together, all running silently as the assumption underneath every prayer. He had sat down on the bench a man with 1,000 prayers and no answers. He realized that afternoon that every prayer had been answered, just to the wrong sentence. And so he sat, and the afternoon got long, and the sun moved, and he did not finish the sentence. Until, finally, in the quiet, with no fanfare, with no spiritual crescendo, with no sign from above, he heard himself say it, inwardly. Just a few words. He said, I am the one who is loved, and held, and met, and enough. He said it slowly, he said it quietly, he said it with no audience but the deeper self. And then he stood up, and he walked home. And nothing in the world had changed yet. The bills were still due. The phone had not rung. The mirror had not changed. But he walked differently. He held the door for the woman behind him at the cafe differently. He greeted the cashier differently. He cooked his dinner differently. He fell asleep that night differently. He woke up the next morning and said the morning anchor and walked into the day differently. And 47 days later, give or take, the world had begun to mirror the new sentence. Not all at once, in small ways at first. A call he had not expected, a letter that arrived, a friend who said something he needed to hear, the cashier at the cafe who saw him, the walk home that did not feel lonely. Then larger ways, the work, the home, the body, the other person, the whole arrangement of his life began to mirror the new sentence, quietly, helplessly, completely. Because the deeper self had finally been given an instruction it could obey without contradiction. You are that man, you are that woman. The afternoon on the bench is tonight. Right now. In this room. The pause after I am is happening in you. In this hour. While I speak. And what you put after those two words is what your life will mirror beginning tonight. So choose. Choose carefully. Choose the sentence that, if it became your life, would be the life you were born to live. Not the life you were trained to expect, the life you were born to live. There is a difference. The deeper self knows the difference. Listen for it. The deeper self will whisper the right sentence. Your job is to receive it. Receive it now. Hold it inwardly. Feel it. Mean it. And from this hour forward, you do not pray. You assume. You do not ask. You declare. You do not hope. You walk. You do not wait. You are. Tonight, before sleep, you will do the night seal. You will lie down. You will settle. You will choose the one sentence, the one that has been forming in you across this hour. You will feel it. You will let the imagined end rise. You will ride that feeling down into sleep. Tomorrow morning, before your feet touch the floor, you will do the morning anchor, 60 seconds. The new sentence inwardly, the feeling spread. Tomorrow at midday, you will pause for 30 seconds. You will ask, what sentence have I been saying? You will adjust. You will walk on. And you will do this every day, without ceremony, without announcement, without telling another soul. Just you and the deeper self, in the inner room, rewriting the line of code that has been running for too long. And the world, slow at first, then faster, will begin to bend toward the new sentence. Not because anything out there changed, because something in here finally agreed to be true. The deeper self has been waiting for that agreement your whole life. Tonight, you give it. So hear me one last time. Walk now. Walk as the one who has it. The proof catches up to the man who has already moved. The world rearranges to match the inner certainty of the one who has stopped asking. You are no longer the asker. You are the assumer. You are no longer the wisher. You are the one for whom it is done. You are no longer the man on the bench with the unfinished sentence. You are the man who has finished it. The woman who has finished it. Stand up from the bench. The afternoon is over. The walk home begins. I am. And whatever you put after those two words tonight is the life that is already, even now, beginning to find you. Go and live it.